Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get the Mic. This is a pre-recorded episode for Sunday, Halloween. Actually, just realized we're
Oh
doing
yeah.
this on Halloween. Yeah,
Well, this is our not so spooky Halloween special. That's not a special. Episode 34.
but it is Halloween. So happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you go
Woo!
out there and embody the spirit of chaos as much as you would like. You can relish in deceit, you know, wallow in shape shifting.
Yeah, and imitate an adversarial spirit.
And go out there and dress however you want because it's Halloween. You gotta embrace the spirit. Eat a bunch of candy, except
Make yourself sick.
don't make yourself sick,
I think that's part of the ritual.
or just don't get sick at a party either. Just
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
get
don't do
sick.
that.
That's a big one. Is don't get sick. I think.
Yeah, that actually should be the ritual is don't get sick.
Anyhow, happy Halloween. I'm your host on the left, Owl,
I'm your host on the right, Brock.
and this is a spooky edition of Get the Mic. Oh, okay. I thought Brock was gonna say something. So in this episode, we're talking about Cruel General Red. No, we're talking about
Yeah,
Cold Encounters of the Third Kind.
not cruel General Red. That's right.
We're talking about
Cold reception.
Cold Encounters of the Third Kind. Cold Reception. Now, in this episode, the first thing we see is kind of a recap, and this is where we're going to be able to talk about Sano for the first time. We
Snow.
really kept her explanation kind of vague in the last episode because last episode wasn't really about that.
Mm-hmm.
So in this episode, we see a recap. Goku has crashed. He's rescued by a mysterious girl. The Red Ribbon Army is after him, and they find his trail leading back to Sano's cottage here.
I like that it's a little pink cottage. It kind of reminds me of Kame House.
It's like a little Kame house. It's also surrounded by water.
Right, it's a little pink igloo instead of a little house on an island, right? Which I guess an igloo is sort of like that. It's like an island.
Yeah, I think that's interesting to note, though I will say that the paternal figure is missing from this picture.
Right. Well, I guess
But
that's
we'll
a good
get to that.
segue to talk about sort of the role that snow plays.
Okay, we can talk about Snow first. I was just gonna mention that General White is drinking, and that's pretty much the last thing we see.
That's
In the
the
Snow
first thing
clips.
we see of him here, right? Is that he's got his feet up and that he's drinking and sort of just waiting for Goku to try to come to him.
And so let's talk about Snow. She is the feminine spirit which rescues the hero when faced with ultimate chaos. She's the white dot in the black paisley. Let's say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that anima spirit type thing that Young would be alluding to, like in the Red Book.
And since Bluma is gone, Chi Chi is gone, no one's here to fulfill that role. We now have Sano.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a little bit different, but we actually see her recur. Um, One might, if they were watching it for the first time, think that Goku would marry Sano instead of Chi Chi because she's in it more
Mm-hmm.
for a time. But that's beside the point. So right, she is that spirit.
Right,
She
that leads him to that place of center, right? The space that this domed pink house is.
Well, she's also kind of a manifestation of because she's shielding Goku against Mother Nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of protecting the hero's destined path, and she kind of, makes the path as
Right.
she goes. Um,
Like Goku leaves the path in his wake as he's dragged along.
right, exactly, and she preserves the path. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Through the hero.
and she gets to the house, and I think we can go ahead and go to the next
Mm-hmm.
set here, where they are in the house trying to wake Goku up, and Goku's frozen solid by the way, actually, wait, we are not ready to go on yet. I want to keep talking about this. So,
Let's continue.
um, briefly to mention that Goku is frozen solid. He has gazed into the mechanical and cold reality of life.
The total lack of warmth in this mountainous hierarchical structure that he's sort of been led into by the automaton.
Yes, and so he's frozen from that. And Sano is, like I was saying earlier, she's kind of that shield against Mother Nature, right? She rescues him. But I want to mention both the what General, and it is General White, that's right. General White is doing, and how additionally Mother Nature comes in here to help Goku.
Mm-hmm.
So not only um does that feminine spirit manifest itself as Snow, who's also named Snow.
Right.
Interesting to note, right?
Well, she's like the spirit of the snow, right?
Yes. She's also, and that's another thing that's different about this representation of water than I would say other representations of water, is that snow has a purity aspect to it, right? When you disturb snow, you leave the imprint on it, right?
Mm.
It's morphed by that which is around it. And I think actually Sano is a good example of that as we see her interact with Goku. She's also representative of that pure feminine spirit, right? Now what I was saying
Mm-hmm.
is the Gaia spirit coming to help Goku as well is when the blizzard comes and covers up
Right.
the track they were following. It's that
Very
preserving of the
similar to what
hero's
we talked
destiny.
about before, right? With the thunderstorm coming down.
Yes.
That preserves the path of the hero as well in kind of in both ways, right?
Right. And so, the last thing I want to mention is the impurity of General White. The first thing we see him really do is drink here, right?
Right, he's taking a toxin in.
And he's thinking about what kind of kid could beat Colonel Silver.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows Colonel Silver, apparently. It's heavily implied.
Right. So he's thinking about,
He
what
also says, I don't care if you kill him.
it's like what kind of challenger could be coming at me?
Yeah, but by this, we can infer some things, right? We can infer that he's not the strictest, like he's drinking on the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't really see, I don't know if we see any other Red Ribbon officer do that. Definitely not Colonel Silver.
Oh, I mean, Silver's the one that's whipping up the lazy peons, right?
Yeah, he's like the drill sergeant. But
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, White here is he's really contemplative,
Contemplative.
contemplative.
Yep.
Yes. And it's interesting to know that. I think it's reflective in the fact that he's in this area surrounded by water, right?
Yeah.
This water spirit that allows him to be reflective in that way. And also we see a lot of General White in that way, and we'll get into it as we go on, but
Mm-hmm.
he drinks his alcohol there and the blizzard comes in, so they have to stop their search for Goku.
Now we get to see sort of a different response to a situation like this than what we saw with Silver, right? Where he was extremely impatient when the thunderstorm came down.
Yes.
How does White respond in this situation?
He leans back and waits for Goku to come to him,
Yep.
which is a very interesting strategy. Not only does it reveal his arrogance that he thinks he can handle whatever Goku is, but it also invites the challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Participate in the hierarchy, this hierarchy. Show your dominance. If you're dominant, great. And that's just what Goku would want, anyways.
Yeah, this is a higher mode of being than Silver because this is more respective of the hierarchy itself, right? Saying like, oh, okay, well, if you're strong enough to come challenge me, then I welcome the challenge because I am motivated by power in that way,
And
right?
it's not just going to be in some field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. White has something Silver does not, and we'll get into it.
Right.
But for now, we see the Red Ribbon Army here. Actually, no. Goku is waking up from his frozen slumber. He's given like hot cocoa and he's snuggled up in a blanket. There he is right there.
Comfy
Um
Goku.
and I think that little like scene there with that kind of idealized living space with little technology, right? It's
Yeah, it's like a
almost,
hearth.
and it's, if you, let's say, analyze it in respect to what we've seen about the mechanized Red Ribbon Army, and we're about to see way more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's really putting this dichotomous spin on how life should be, right? The hearth, the
Well, I mean, you can
warmness,
you can use color theory to look at the themes of this episode, right? Where outside you've got the blue reflecting off of the snow everywhere, and inside here it's all oranges and warm color tones on the walls, and we've got wooden chairs, so we've got the browns. It's all warm, right? You've got the cool and warm to, and they walk in wearing blue, right? So there's this dichotomous. Um, I mean, it's just in the color balance itself because of how it's trying to express that.
yes, and I think it is that it's setting up that dichotomous nature between the moral lives of the village people
Mm-hmm.
and the immoral lives of those who would succumb to the Red Ribbon Army, right?
Well, think of gathering around a fire, thematically how it fits like with Dark Souls, and it's like hanging on to this wisdom, this enlightenment, and gathered around it and sort of trying to have it keep you
And
warm.
life too. It does represent that life,
It's
right?
that
It
wisdom.
and it's also fickle like life.
Hmm.
Flame is. So Goku is brought to a bonfire of sorts, right? It's
Hmm.
the resting spot, and it's another thing that the feminine spirit provides, especially because the mother is here. Right? You have a
Right.
maternal spirit
The
as
maternal fire
well.
keeper.
Yes, as well as the more more positive feminine manifest, let's say, that
Yeah.
Snow is.
I'm just realizing how much of a good analog it is to mention Dark Souls in respect to what's happening here, right? The cold, harsh, high up hierarchy here. The shock of it.
Yeah, it can really make you go hollow
Mm-hmm.
or freeze you in your place. And so he he tells them that he's looking for the Dragon Ball. They kind of freak out because they say the Red Ribbon Army is looking for Dragon Balls. Are you with the army? And he doesn't know who they are still. So they kind of explain it to him, and we see this cutaway of the Red Ribbon Army destroying a old couple's home. Now, we didn't see Silver do anything like this. What does this achieve?
Just destroying the home itself.
Well, also don't forget, and it's pretty explicit, like points the gun at the old lady, tells the man it'll be bad. Bad things will happen if you don't tell us if you see the boy, right?
Hmm.
It is that tyrannical rule by terror.
Yeah,
Silver didn't go in and just kill the shopkeeper and take all his shit.
I'm trying to remember exactly how he acted. I thought they kind of like thrashed the store, right?
They do after they, well, remember that guy gets a couple shots off with his gun
Or
before.
no, I'm thinking of the family that they attacked before that.
Yeah, they rough him up, but not like this.
No, it's not like coming in. I'm going to murder you. It was just kind of like,
Yeah, it
we're
was
just gonna
like,
search as we want.
yeah. And so this is a more extreme version, let's say.
Hmm.
We kind of get that feeling. Um, Also that disregard for the elderly of the society, right, is another worthy mention that the spirit of the army is portraying here, displaying here, let's say.
It's a very resentment oriented sort of thing that you can see happening even now with the resentment of the elderly, the disrespect towards the spirit of, you know, ancestors or those who came before, the father or whatever you want to associate it with, right? That it's almost codified into the way that you need to look at the world.
Well, if might makes right, old people are not right.
Mhm.
The weak are not right. Right? Justice doesn't matter. So, it's an interesting addition to what we've already known as the character of the Red Ribbon Army. We've seen them transition now from just, I would say, just kind of a mercenary force, same as the Rabbit Gang,
Mhm.
like what we see
Dress
the Rabbit
similarly as well.
right, to an actual formidable force here, where they show malice.
Mhm.
They they tear down things symbolically and you have to
Like
understand
destroying
too.
a home.
You have to understand this is to the community because these are members of the community, right? They're gonna tell other people what happened,
Mhm.
and so this is terror inflicted instead of toothless terror, which is what
Instead
the
of
boss
shaking
rabbit
people
was.
down, right?
Yeah, and so then we see that Goku tells them about the Dragon Balls, right? He says, "Well, I'm looking for the Dragon Balls. I wonder what the Red Ribbon Army wants with them. But I know that they grant anyone's wish. Some guy named Oolong wished for girls' panties, and some guy named Shenlong,
He'll show up.
he'll show up when you collect all seven. Just some guy.
I just love it, the phrasing of this guy. Like, who would look at Shinron and be like, "Look at this guy. Look,
Look at
this
this
guy
guy."
over here.
And
Look at
then
that guy."
somebody named Oolong, not to mention he's a pig, anything like that.
And it's
Anyways,
just this dude Oolong was like,
so
"Give me some panties."
Goku tells him the story of this occurrence, this event. He leaves out the end for obvious reasons,
Mm-hmm.
but Sinod at first doesn't believe him. She's like, "You're making it up," and it's because if someone if the symbology isn't understood, right, then it is hard to explain why that just sounds silly.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sano remarks on that, and Goku kind of, shakes her off. But I think that's beyond where we are right now. So one last thing I want to mention here is this shot of Goku walking through the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it really is that he's now initiated into this land.
Yeah, it's like linking the fire, right?
Right.
He's bringing his wisdom of what the Dragon Balls can represent to them and accepting their hospitality to him.
Also, I like how it reflects her image back. The Dragon Ball does. Have we
Definitely.
seen that before?
I think so.
I
Whenever
think
Bulma got
Bluma.
one
Yeah,
time, yeah.
definitely. So, and we see her reflected in the image to know. And it is that reflective wisdom that is sought by the inner enlightenment of the balls, all that stuff that we've
Mm-hmm.
already talked about. So then, like I was saying, Sano doesn't believe him, and so he says that he should go find the next Dragon Ball. And they tell him the story. This is kind of expository in a way, but it also, I like that line right there. Stop competing with the Red Ribbon Army for
Yeah.
the Dragon Balls, right? It's really in the spirit. So he argues with them a little bit to go find the ball. And he says he'll go beat up the Red Ribbon Army for them as a way of thanking them. Little does he know that they are already here. And so, like I was saying, I like that line about competing because it is him squaring up to them in the hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another thing I want to mention too is the tendency of the maternal spirit to avoid the maternal spirit is not a competitive one.
Right. It's just acting in defense to protect, right?
Right. And also Sano says that Goku should hand his ball over.
Yeah. They're very well being that
agreeable.
I was gonna say archetypally feminine spirit.
She
They're
even
very
asks,
agreeable.
"You agree?" Right there, she asks
Mm-hmm.
Goku, "You agree?" And Goku's like, "Nah, I'm disagreeable. I will challenge them."
He's like,
Right?
I'm gonna go anyway.
My spirit is stronger than theirs.
Yeah.
And so sneaking up is this dog soldier, lion, dog face pony soldier, is coming up, and they hear him knock there, and they're about ready to go. Anything else here? Oh, yeah. So Goku actually runs off real quick. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Well, it's funny. They tell him the Red Ribbon Army's here, and they say you need to hide Goku, and he says, I need to pee.
Yeah, he needs to display himself,
Right. He needs to
right?
reveal himself.
His
He needs to,
vulnerability, because he is not afraid of these.
and he's also honest. He doesn't want to act without integrity. He doesn't want to hide from evil. He wants to be able to confront it. And so even whenever he logically knows that he's not supposed to be confronting it, he compulsively, and we've seen this happen with him before, like whenever he was supposed to pretend to be a girl, right? He was like, "Oh, I got to pee, I got to pee." Same thing here. And so of course that's what reveals him. He it's almost like he subconsciously uses it to reveal himself here.
Yeah, and he does, and they shoot at the door and they fill it with bullets, but it doesn't really matter. Goku's fine. What do you make of that? How is Goku able to withstand a bullet? This show doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's not the first time that Goku's taken bullets, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Um but I think that it's like I feel like symbolically Goku being in there and flushing the toilet and then seeing what their response is to his presence is like a test, right? It's almost like he's above this. And so they fail his test, right? They act dishonorably towards him. They shoot through the door at him. And it's similar, I would say, if you recall back to season 1, whenever Goku unknowingly enters somebody's house and he's hit on the head with an axe, the axe breaks, right? It's like that. Goku's completely innocent in this situation. He's just simply, they have no idea who he is. They're acting, basically, they could just be killing anybody, right? And so Goku is a judge of their actions in this situation. He's above what they're doing.
Well, I would also say that the spirit that they embody as they go through this house kind of also helps protect Goku. The And I think too, the exposing of one's vulnerabilities willingly, right, toughens someone to the point where Goku here can then take these bullets, right?
Mm-hmm.
For this time being, let's say. But right, and it's because also these two thugs are really like low level. They're not they're not even acting in an adversarial spirit. They're acting in a foolish adversarial spirit for the most part.
Yeah, they're just
They're
they're
like eating stew, right? They're trying to get their gains. They
yeah.
don't have the
Well, the slapstickiness of them kind of identifies them as being that foolish adversarial spirit too.
Yeah.
Just the giant spoon sticking out of his mouth, and
Yeah, exactly. That all lends credence to it.
yeah,
But Goku, he punches him a couple times, knocks him out. They are, let's say, they can no longer be conscious of Goku's elevated status to theirs, let's say.
yeah. They can't comprehend their inadequacy on the hierarchy in comparison to Goku, and it lays them out. It makes them unconscious.
What kind of prick takes this whole spoon?
Just shoves it right in his mouth,
Yeah, and then puts it right back.
and then he just ruins the whole thing. Even think
Yeah.
about it.
I'm thinking about it. It sucks.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah, seriously. So then Goku gets dressed he's clothed in the traditional maternal,
Well,
right?
first he tries to go without it. He's like, I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna go fight them anyway because they tell him about Muscle Tower. She says, okay, okay, if you're gonna try to
I'm gonna
fight
go get
them,
the village chief back.
yeah, and she says you need to know about Muscle Tower. She says people have gone and they've tried to go to Muscle Tower and they've not returned. This is dangerous. You shouldn't do it. He's like, I'm gonna go anyway. Like he literally just says, I'm doing it anyway. And then he just runs off, runs straight into the cold in his gi. And
And comes back.
it's a funny scene because
Frigid.
they're sat back there and they're like, I hope he's gonna be okay. And they're kind of like talking, and then boom, he just arrives back at the door completely frozen again
Yes, yes.
because he hadn't yet learned what he lacked to be able to continue on this journey to Muscle
Which
Tower.
it's kind of the gift of the goddess, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that maternal armor granted
Yeah.
against the chaotic
Yeah, like in the
maternal.
Green Knight, right? There's the garter that protects you against the harshness of what you have to face.
Yeah, or in Sleeping Beauty, the shield of faith, right? That's granted
Mm-hmm.
by the fairies, who are that positive maternal force which grants
Yeah,
gifts of the goddess. And so
exactly.
he gets these clothes from them and he sets off to go fight at Muscle Tower. Now, I think the next thing we need to do. Oh, yeah. One more important thing is that Goku has never seen snow, and this is where we confirm it here. He thinks it's weird. It is strange because all the water he's known has been simply the deep unconsciousness, the unknown, all that symbolism. But
Mm-hmm.
snow is a little bit different because it is pure, it is malleable, it is.
The malleability of the snow, I think, is an important aspect of the analysis. To say that you can take snow, which is water, and shape it into something that'll retain its shape, and that's what they've done ideologically as the Red Ribbon Army to be motivated by power and malice in the way that they have.
Hmm. They've molded. You mean
They're
other?
unconscious.
They're unconscious.
Yeah, has been molded in a way so that it's you know, whenever you could say ideologically possessed, it's
Well,
like
I
that.
mean, I would say you could actually I would just say General White, his tyrannical control over this area, right, is
Hmm.
his malleable will in action. Let's say. I see what you're saying though.
Just the idea of the
It
unconscious
is.
being
It takes.
controllable, right? Instead of forming to something that you couldn't hold in your
Well,
hands.
tyrannically, but yeah, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
And Goku can't hold in his hands. Says it's weird,
It's
right?
just like, oh, okay,
Whatever.
whatever. This is weird.
And so he goes off and goes to Muscle Tower. Now, Muscle Tower, a couple things. First of all, Muscle Tower. Why is it called Muscling Tower?
It's a test of strength because the hierarchy that Goku now has to face them on is that of power. That's what they've essentially established um, their supremacy on. Is it's all predicated upon power, and so this is a test of Goku's will and endurance in the harshness of this sort of what's the term I want to use? Just the harshness of the world that he has to inhabit right now for the lessons that he needs to learn to earn a Dragon Ball, right? To get that wisdom. This is harsh wisdom to learn, you could say.
See, I was actually thinking of it a little different. So I was thinking more like muscle, like hired muscle, like it's a thuggery tower, like it's a rule by, it represents the rule by fear that White enacts, right? It's
Hmm.
kind of that level, that spirit that
Oh, so
exists.
it's like a shrine to muscling. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, okay.
That's more of what I was thinking of because how the soldiers act reflects that as well. How these specific soldiers act versus what we saw Colonel Silver's act,
I
right?
see what you're saying. Yeah.
So Muscle Tower, right, is really a monument to that thuggery, let's say,
Hmm.
that despotism, even we could say.
That is bred by that worship of power, right?
Hmm. And yeah, that's why I wanted to build on what you were saying
I like how we
originally.
kind of met on that,
Yeah.
like kind of came at it from different directions, but that's why that's and that's ultimately why, that Goku has to interact with it in that way regardless of whether or not he can
It's
skip
not a
through it.
spirit that
Yeah.
he's genuinely faced. He's only faced the foolish adversarial tyrant, which
Yeah.
was Pilaf, right? This is a despot, a ruler by force.
Well, that's why whenever he fights back against them as he approaches the tower and he goes up, he doesn't go to the top of the tower, right?
Yeah, he
He
can't.
goes halfway up
He
because
needs
he's
to.
got that first half. He's dealt with malice on sort of that basic level,
Hmm.
but now he needs to participate in it, right? And
Yeah,
actually encounter it and process that wisdom again.
and wisdom that he hasn't quite, because he's gonna encounter more than just muscle, let's say, in the
Mhm.
tower. And so he fights these soldiers. He beats them pretty easily, and then uses his power pole to vault to the next
I
level.
like that he blocks their bullets with the power pole as he's running up.
That's not in this one, but yeah, he definitely does.
These guys he just runs up.
This is
That's
just
right.
the ones that
Sorry,
meet
there's
him
just a
over the
lot of
road.
Goku running for the rest of the episode.
It is a
So,
lot of Goku running and
you can
fighting.
make a game out of it and just think of it as one continuous motion throughout the next couple of slides as he runs infinitely.
And there we go, yeah. And so White just orders his guys to eliminate him, but of course he's
Mhm.
going to allow Goku to participate in the hierarchy, right? He and we'll see soon, he respects that hierarchy,
Yeah.
his
He's such a
hierarchy
proponent of it.
that
That's what
he
Muscle
has
Tower is, right?
created, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing. I mean, Silver didn't have that created hierarchy. He was almost an individual
He's like the
amongst.
lone wolf sort of.
Yeah, and I mean, think about how his soldiers acted as well. You don't see White's men sleeping on the job, right?
Mhm.
So Cowboy and Wolf come up again.
Right.
We'll keep bringing them up.
Cowboy and Wolf.
Keep them
New
alive.
series this
Cowboy and Wolf.
summer.
Yep, the spinoff. Um, and yeah, so I mean, obviously Goku here defeats the Red Ribbon Soldiers. Pretty apparent. But I will say, like I said earlier, we see them as pretty much more competent than we've seen the previous soldiers.
I like this too. As Goku's running up, he says, "The fool, he's come all this way to die." He's trying to literally call Goku a fool because he
Well,
he's also looking at it through that lens, right? He thinks that Goku is a joke. He thinks that he's to
uh,
be challenging me the way that you are,
you
you must be
you
foolish.
don't think that he's trying to manifest the spirit of the fool that wouldn't be able to succeed in this endeavor?
White, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
that's what I'm thinking. It's more of a command word, like he is a fool trying to make it manifest into reality.
hmm
Obviously not
He's
working.
projecting it onto him to reaffirm his status in his hierarchy as well.
Right. Even though he hasn't really challenged White's status yet.
Right, but it's just like automatically you see something, you just go like, "Oh, fool for challenging me because I represent the top of the muscle tower," right?
Yeah, I represent all that it is to rule by muscle.
Yeah.
So, the last thing we see here is what we were talking about earlier, his
hmm
vaulting to the top. He does block those
Right.
bullets with the Noivo, right? The spirit of Red Ribbon is obviously not going to be enough to break the unbreakable bond of your ancestral wisdom. It's easily able to knock away them, goes up to the middle, and then goes into the tower. I think that's really where we leave off.
Yes. White
Go.
says he says something along the lines of, "I'd like to see if he can make it to the top floor of this tower." And it's funny because it's a tower on a tower. It's like
Yes,
his entrance.
and it's interesting to note just a couple things about Muscle Tower. So it has these guns that White never uses. It has a satellite at the top, right? It's shaped to where the top floor is the largest,
hmm
circling all around. And that's where White's headquarters is. Now the bottom we don't ever get to see. So,
It's beneath Goku. It would probably symbolically be like Pilaf.
but it's built in a very angular fashion.
hmm
Where if you think about the village, and I want to keep bringing this up, that dichotomous nature and how Toriyama sets it up, right? You have very angular design. versus very rounded designs,
The
right?
masculine and feminine, sort of like two islands in the ocean of snow, right?
And even this, it has crenellations that are even more add more angles to it, right?
hmm
And so, um, not only that, but I think you wanted to say something about the satellite, right?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I just saw that there was a satellite on top, and we've kind of talked about before this sort of using the satellite to like to communicate on a cosmic scale, in a
Yes.
sense, right? To communicate with a higher mode of thinking, and so that's what he does from the top of his muscle tower, um, with red, right?
Yeah, and this is just to a lot of it is to elevate him over Silver, which was already a formidable foe. He destroyed the Nimbus after all.
hmm
So, we'll see how Goku fares in the next episode, but I think this is pretty much we're good to wrap up. I hope everyone enjoyed this special Halloween episode. It was so spooky, I know. Spooky,
Ooh,
scary, spooky, scary.
spooky snow.
Yeah, think about the spooky snow. Well, hey, there's I think there could be some better snow Halloween flicks. Then again, I think there could just be better Halloween movies in general.
Definitely.
We don't get a lot. Someone make a good Halloween movie. Someone watching our show.
We just keep watching Evil Dead over and over.
Anyhow, if you liked what you heard, give us a like. Please subscribe. We do episodes every Sunday. We also do one bonus episode. Usually Tuesday. It says once a week, but usually Tuesday. Sometimes that's not accurate. It changes here and there. But we usually stream around this time on Sunday as well. So check us out then. And if you're wanting to participate in the discussion, please leave a comment below if you agree with us. If you don't agree with us, if you just want to say hello, we'd love to hear from you.
Also, I just want to point out we have a Discord. If you'd like to get involved in discussing some of these topics, if you'd like to post memes, we're always welcome to having new people join the Discord. So you can follow
So,
the link on the screen, and it's down below.
yeah. I'm your host on the left, Owl,
I'm your host on the right, Brock.
and we hope you have a pleasant rest of your evening. Goodbye, everyone.